What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people and I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I'm your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, friends and family? I appreciate y'all. What up? What's happening, y'all? How y'all feel? It's Thursday, October 17th, 2024, year of our Lord. And it is a glorious Thursday. A glorious Thursday. Let's go ahead and get some of the housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, I want to make sure that you guys understand that the Tiege pack is the pack that you got to get. So if you are not a Tiege Hanley member, then I would suggest that you absolutely remove yourself from any other pack and get the Tiege pack that's directly from me because I'm going to give you 40% off your first order and 20% off for life. And so I'm going to make sure you're taken care of on that front. And it's a great product even without that. So Tiege, get your Tiege Hanley. Secondly, make sure you tap into the Patreon. I plan on dropping a Patreon video this weekend. So that should be awesome. And then we got, what do we got? Stock Club. Stock Club is next week. All right, Stock Club is next week. Last but not least, make sure you get your tickets to come and kick it with me in person. The link is in the description. And make sure that you also get your stocks up. Get your stocks up. And then put discount code Anton in the description. And we're going to make sure that we take care of you. All right, y'all ready to get into the show? I don't want to waste no time. I'm going to just tell you right now that the majority of the show is going to be dedicated to Kamala Harris. The majority of the show is going to be dedicated to breaking down Kamala Harris's interview with Fox News. I told y'all, I warned y'all, I said that this was not a smart move for her. And the only reason that you would ever do this type of interview is if you're in trouble. And you looking to somehow, some way, throw a Hail Mary pass and make up ground. The only reason that you would ever do this type of interview if you are Kamala Harris is if you are in trouble. So make sure that y'all hit a like for the algorithm. And then if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and share this with your family and friends. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way and we're going to get right to it. Because I'm going to be reading super chats throughout it. So we're going to just dedicate some time to making sure that we hold her down. ESDC, what up to my dog ESDC? I appreciate you. Mike that dude, my dog is in the building. Shout out to Mike that dude. I love you. Let's see what we got in the super chats. JP says, Patrick Bet David dropped the interview with Trump. Check it out. Okay. I'm going to dedicate probably tomorrow to Trump. Unless Kamala Harris just completely throws herself into the mire again, I'm going to dedicate the entire tomorrow to Trump. All right, I know we're going to be in Detroit tomorrow, so that's going to be dope. Shauna says, morning, AD, that Kamala interview was atrocious. And she wants to go on Rogan for 3 hours? Ain't no way in hell. Oh, man, tell me about it. Joe Rogan would do. I don't think she would ever do Joe Rogan. Donald Moore said, my first super chat. Yo, AD. You got to check out the Byron Donalds versus Gary Chambers debate hosted by Tez. I seen that on Revolt. There's so much coming out. So much to get into. I seen that on Revolt. I might check that out. Patrick Bet David is premiering an interview with Trump, but I still had to come back and home and watch the morning show. Then why are you promoting Patrick Bet? Let me be quiet. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. Y'all got to think y'all way through this. I don't care. It don't make no difference. I'm going to do what I do anyway. I don't care who doing what. Whenever they doing it, it is what it is. P. Shank says, morning, Mr. Anton. Morning, P. Shank. Big Mike Real says, watching her felt like Billy Madison. Shout out to you, Big Mike. I appreciate you for holding me down on that front, too. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into quick hits, and then we're going to jump right into the Kamala Harris situation. You know what I'm saying? Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to each individual subject, but we definitely want to keep you up to date on what's happening out in these streets, man. First things first. New York Police Department is saying that it's not just migrants and these gangs, it's the migrants recruiting children that are committing the majority of the violent crimes in New York City as well as Times Square. Check it out.
The NYPD is investigating a string of armed robberies targeting people in Times Square. They say nearly 24 young immigrants are behind the brazen crime, some as young as 11 years old, and their ages, police say, allow these suspects to get away with it. They stay out of jail and then keep terrorizing New Yorkers and tourists alike. Eyewitness News reporter Lauren Glassberg live in Times Square with more on this story. Lauren.
Well, David, the NYPD says that this is really a gang of very young people, and they have committed some 50 robberies. Some of them are even armed robberies. And we understand that the police first targeted them in Central Park, but now they have targeted this area, Times Square, as their playground.
They're reckless and as ruthless of a crew as we've seen.
And they're young, some as young as 11 years old. Police say they first targeted Central Park this summer, and now Times Square is their playground.
When you look at this group, core group of 20 individuals, this is their ground zero.
So you telling me that a gang of roughly 20 people, and y'all have known about them for months, y'all have not been able to round them up and get them up out of here, get them deported. 11-year-olds, they was over there in Central Park and now they robbing people in Times Square. You ain't safe in Times Square as a tourist in New York?
Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino focuses on gangs, and this gang, he says, is made up of asylum seekers being housed at the Roosevelt Hotel.
Asylum seekers. And they live at the Roosevelt Hotel. Jesus Christ. I might have to do a whole segment on this for the Anton Daniels channel. I thought that this was just going to be quick hits. They live at the Roosevelt Hotel, the migrant headquarters in New York. The ones that's getting maximum rent for payouts and getting rich off of New York City, off of y'all taxpayers. And they taking pictures and they putting it on Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok.
For a subset of the gang, trend Aragua and self-identify as Los Diablos, or the Little Devils of 42nd Street, and they even post about their crimes, which have escalated.
It started with snatches, and then you saw Wolfpack-type robberies, where you'd see numerous individuals surrounding unsuspected tourists, frightening them, and then taking their properties. That graduated certainly into knives, and then ultimately we even had gunpoint robberies committed by this young crew.
I'll just kind of be like this, holding more towards the front, almost like a baby.
Anastasia Tucker always stays vigilant when she walks through Times Square, and news of this gang will ensure she continues to do so.
I mean, as a New Yorker, you should be, just kind of comes with the territory. But I think more police on foot also helps a better presence.
A deterrent.
Yes.
Police say they are using drones, covert techniques, and uniformed officers to find these offenders. But the big appeal is to the judges.
The DA is making recommendations that just aren't adhered to. We have to look at our judges and make them more accountable.
And when I tell y'all, literally, that when you voting down ballot, you can select your judges. Voting don't matter. Voting don't matter. It's not going to count. You literally determine who's going to be the people that let in and let out criminals and whether they're going to work with the police department to keep you safe. And you're not listening. You know you can vote for your judges. It is on, at least here in Michigan, in my county, it is available for us to vote on our judges. I'll cover this story a little bit more in depth on the Anton Daniels channel. In addition to that, now I want to preface this by saying that the details of this story is a little bit disturbing. I was hearing Rita listen to it on TikTok yesterday, and then somebody sent it to me in my email today. And this is a woman that is describing her situationship with Diddy, and they're saying that he raped her as revenge for saying that he was involved in Tupac's death. Check it out.
Tonight, developing news of the growing lawsuits and allegations against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Now, one woman is accusing him of a sexual assault here in the Bay Area. The new suit was filed in just the past 24 hours. ABC 7 News reporter Luz Pena has the details. We do need to warn you the allegations are triggering.
In disturbing detail, the latest civil lawsuit against rapper Sean Diddy Combs breaks down a horrific scene inside an Orinda apartment in 2018.
Very savage gang rape.
A woman claims to have met Diddy over FaceTime in 2018 after running into one of his friends at a bar. During that conversation, her attorney said the woman made a comment that upset the rapper.
Told Mr. Combs she believed he had something to do with Tupac's murder, so she wasn't interested or impressed with seeing him.
The lawsuit says a month later, Diddy's friend allegedly set her up to be raped by Diddy in Orinda, where she said she was drugged and threatened with a knife. And Diddy said she would pay for his statements about Tupac during the video call. The lawsuit says that while violently raping the woman, the rapper told her her life was in his hands and that if he wanted, he would take her and she would never be seen again. According to her attorney, the woman was raped by other men as well. And despite being drugged, she was able to escape. On her way out, telling Diddy she did not party with him and did not enjoy partying with him and that he raped her. The lawsuit claims neighbors in the area called police.
Contra Costa sheriff came out to the neighbor's home at the time of the incident because several police reports several 911 calls allegedly were made.
According to the lawsuit, several weeks after the rape, the accuser went to the hospital because she was still in pain. The lawsuit claims hospital personnel called Walnut Creek police, who took a statement from the accuser. This time, she said she did not want to name Diddy. She says she was afraid that she wouldn't be believed and that later on, the rapper would harm her. We contacted Walnut Creek and Orinda police departments and have not heard back. The woman's attorney saying law enforcement agencies refused to hand over the police reports.
That's disturbing in and of itself. Her team needs this information.
Despite a number of new allegations of rape and sexual assaults from 1995 to 2021 against the rapper, legal analyst Stephen Clark is urging for these allegations to be investigated independently.
Was this individual treated like a sexual assault victim, or was she treated as someone that was not credible?
Like a groupie is basically what they're saying. So those are the allegations. I can't tell you whether they're true or not because I don't know. But apparently there's a lawsuit pending, not a criminal suit, but a lawsuit as a result of her trying to get damages for her pain and suffering. And then last but not least, even more disturbing than that, because this is a person that was able to get away and fly out of the country. And so he did what Russell Simmons did and not what Diddy did. Check it out.
A local child therapist is arrested for child pornography, but police say he managed to escape the U.S. Today, Fox 13 Seattle is looking at how the suspect slipped through the cracks so easily.
The details we're uncovering are frustrating and concerning. Fox 13's Tiege Hanley reports what went wrong from the airport.
Documents that I obtained show law enforcement stopped that suspect, Yu Ling, for a brief moment here at the airport, but those records show Port of Seattle police let the accused child sexual exploiter go due to confusion over red tape. Port of Seattle police was on scene and declined detention of the subject due to a lack of a warrant. A one-sentence answer as to why a man accused of peddling in the misery of sexually abused children is now free.
We believe that they absolutely could have arrested him, and we were under the belief that they would have because they didn't need a warrant.
Probable cause documents I obtained show 26-year-old Yu Ling, who went by Bruce, worked as a family and child therapist. According to the documents, Ling was employed with Valley City's behavioral health care. Ling claimed in that role he collaborated with schools, DCYF, CPS, and Seattle Children's Hospital.
Extremely disturbing allegations.
Hold on, wait. Let me read this real quick. It says, extensive experience in serving multi-system involved children with severe behavioral problems and developmental disabilities during my tenure at Valley Cities. That's crazy.
CPS and Seattle Children's Hospital.
Extremely disturbing allegations.
Police discovered dozens of images of child pornography in a computer file alongside a file for his cover letter for an application to Seattle Children's Hospital.
That's just so awful when you read the details in those court documents.
Ling bonded out of jail with possibly as little as $7,500 out of his own pocket. He then somehow acquired an illegal passport, and despite Homeland Security flagging his planned escape and King County Sheriff notifying the Port of Seattle police to make an arrest, which documents say they agreed to do, officers at the airport let Ling board a flight to China.
What he could have been arrested on were two things. One is attempted bail jumping for trying to board that flight. The other is not following court orders by getting that passport and trying to get on the flight.
I spoke to officials with the Port of Seattle Police Department who tell me they have to have probable cause or a warrant to make an arrest. They say they're not sure if they had that at the time.
Probable cause is they flag you and realize that you're trying to take a flight to China or wherever it is that he went, to a place that you can't extradite. So another one bites the nut, another one bites the dust, another one slips through the cracks, and he's avoided jail and prosecution, and he will live the rest of his life in a completely different country. And this dude was able to get an illegal passport, bond out of jail. Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your quick hits. All right, let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to get into the thick of things. Build Free Media 313, shout out to my brethren over in Detroit, says, can you talk in unison with her talking points again? That ish was hilarious. Probably. We're going to take a little bit more of a serious approach today. Eric Wealth Harris says, did Kamala give us the best interview ever? I think she did. I believe that she did. The Sports Holic says, if Kamala didn't break under pressure, she sure did bend. 4 of her staffers signaled for the interview to end. This is why, all right, so listen, before we get into the interview, let me say this. I said it. Did I not predict it? Did I not predict it? Did I not say, listen, guys, this is a bad idea? I think I said it yesterday or the day before. Whatever day was that we found out that she was going to be doing an interview with Fox on Wednesday night, I said it. I said, listen, Eric D., you know I said it. Everybody was here, and I'm about to bring it up. I said, listen, let's just go ahead and get into it. I said, listen, Kamala Harris doing this interview will be the worst decision that they've ever made. If I'm them, which of course they watch, but they don't care nothing about what I think. I said, if I'm them, her campaign is no way, under no circumstances, would I ever put her in front of Fox News. Is nothing good that can come from her for that, because she has never been pressured the way that she's going to get pressured, A. And the only way that they should do it is if she's in a whole lot of trouble, B. I said it. I said, but I'm looking forward to it as a person that actually wants Trump to win, because it'll be great content and it's just going to make her look worse. And lo and behold, they jumped right on over the broomstick, right into the fire with Ishrak, Bashrak, and Abednego, or whatever it is. Meshach, Ishrak, and Abednego, whatever their name is. And she jumped right in the mire. And I said, Jesus Christ. Jesus H. Christ. I said, no, they didn't let this woman jump on there. And he did. It was almost like they've been watching my interviews and trying to figure out how we should approach this, because I've been saying for the longest that somebody needs to just take one approach, pick one or two main subjects, because they only gonna let her sit in front of you for 20 to 30 minutes. And that's enough time for her to filibuster and throw around a bunch of stories and say how she grew up in the middle class. And by the time that you get to the next question, you can't really press her. So you need to just pick one or two subjects and go. Whatever amount of time that you go. Just pick one or two and press. And the biggest issue is immigration. And I'll be gotten if he didn't do exactly that. And they brought up Lake and Riley and all of them too. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Again, we're going to break this up into 3 parts. So I'm going to read super chats in between the 3 parts. So let me see how long this interview is. Okay, so this interview is like 27 minutes. We gonna go.
Madam Vice President.
How about we go 8, 16, 24, 9, 18, 27. Let's go 9 minutes apiece and let's see what we can get through, all right? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Buckle up. Let's get it.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Bret.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration, because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Bret, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehension.
Bret was playing no games. Bret was having 0 games being played with him today. He said, you're not going to skip over my questions. You're not going to throw your talking points on there. You're not going to do any of that. All you going to do is answer the questions, and respectfully, ma'am, respectfully, I asked you, how many immigrants do y'all think that y'all released into the wild? And you said, no, you know what I'm going to talk about. Nope, that's not how the interview goes. You got to answer the question. Bret was playing 0 games. He was having 0 games being played with him that day.
I'm not finished. We have an
it's a rough estimate of
system
6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship.
Oh, and he know everything that she about to bring up before she even bring it up. This is. If I'm her campaign staffers and I'm the aides and I'm sitting in the background, I'm like this. You know the cartoon where they be doing like this? If I'm the campaign staffers and I'm sitting in the back, I'm like, ooh, this ain't gonna go good. Oh, I'm sorry. I would have called her out a minute. I'm sorry. We got a major national security issue that we got to attend. Sorry, Brett. We got to get about. I would have got her out of there immediately. I would have never sat her down in the first place.
Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the.
Finish,
yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats.
Thank you. Somebody can finally bring up the facts and hold her accountable for the BS that they keep on throwing in front of our face because they keep trying to skip over the problem. Listen, I honestly believe that if the Democrats did not fumble immigration in this term so bad, then they probably would have had a chance to win, but they don't. They don't. Because people are not forgetting, and they are being reminded every single day. Every single day, these people are being reminded of what they experienced as far as these immigrants coming into this country, and they're not going to forget it. And the fact that he brought up, and they got the very first person up there is Bernie Sanders. The very first, the most liberal, left-leaning liberal that we've ever seen in our entire life. Bernie Sanders is up there. Anybody want to go left, Bernie is left. Bernie don't have a right. He only go left. Bernie should have been in Michigan so he can do Michigan lefts all day long. That's how left-leaning Bernie is. Bernie is so left, I wouldn't even be surprised. Listen, Bernie believes in socialism. I couldn't believe that he had ever ran for president of the United States before. That is the most left-leaning person in the world. And Bernie Sanders voted against it. And so this is the context that people miss. This is why you had to be there. You had to be paying attention to it. And very few interviewers like a Charlamagne the God, who is A, her friend, and then B, is not educated enough on policy and what is going on in the government to be able to hold these people accountable. They can't address this issue. And so when you try to gaslight us and say something that's not true, it's easy for people like Bret to be able to call you out because he already did his research. He calling her out. He fact-checking her, and he calling her out on everything.
But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics.
Facts.
This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Bret,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true.
That is not an apology, ma'am. Let me show y'all what an apology looked like. You know what? We was wrong. First, an apology starts with acknowledgement. We were wrong. We should not have let these people in here. And we knew that there was going to be collateral damage that came along with it. And there was going to be some people that suffered, some people that got maimed, some people that maybe even got killed. Just so happened to be these three women amongst others, but those are the ones that's the most visible. And y'all never said Laken Riley's name. He making her bend the knee. He making her bend the knee. He said, listen, do you owe them an apology? Because yes, in my personal opinion, blood is on their hands. For them to walk around and talk about so much hope and joy and reproductive rights and all of this stuff, but to completely ignore who suffered at the hands of this administration when they could have did something, but they didn't do something, and they rolled back like 90 different Trump policies for the border. They rolled them back. That's the part that people don't get. They sit there and say, oh no, we tried to create legislation for it. No, you rolled back the legislation that was already in place that Trump had established that helped to secure our borders. And then you went with the executive action after you couldn't fix a problem. Let me tell you what they really tried to do at the border, because a lot of people wasn't covering this, and I was covering it every single day right here with the Millionaire Morning Show Bag Chasers. All right. What happened was, and this is my theory, but I'm using substantial evidence and me covering it for a long time to justify what I'm telling to you. I believe, because there's no way in the world that you can tell me that they thought that this would make sense come this election cycle and that Republicans wouldn't absolutely hammer them on everything that is happening to Americans as a result of the border. But let me tell you what I think was going to happen. This was the plan, in my opinion. This is my theory, my hypothesis, all right, my educated guess. From the very beginning, they made sure that they fought Trump tooth and nail, but Trump just continued the border policies of Obama, but then he strengthened them. But they thought that they were going to strip down everything he did and let all of these migrants into the country and then come back and say, you know what? The immigration system has been broken for as long as we've been alive. And you know what we did? We introduced a bipartisan deal that ultimately strengthened the border and put 1,500 new border agents and slowed down fentanyl into this country and all of that. So they created a problem that they ultimately was going to fix. And one of the ways they were going to fix it is also by making sure that they put a bunch of bloatware into this bipartisan deal that didn't even get introduced until the end of 2023, which is well after the parole program that they introduced in the beginning of 2023. But they wasn't counting on the fact that first 6 Democrats, strong left-leaning Democrats, was going to vote against it. And they wasn't counting on the fact that the American people was going to reject this because it had so many other things that we actually read that border bill when they usually try to pass this through and say it's a bipartisan agreement. So they created a problem that they thought that they was going to fix. You and your family was going to possibly suffer as a result of it. But then they can come back in the November election and say, listen, we strengthened borders. We fixed things. Now, God only knows what their true agenda was for opening up the borders in the first place and suing Texas to try to prevent them from having illegal migrants continue to filter into this country. We can only speculate. We can only guess. We can't read minds. We can speculate. And I think that our speculation is relatively true, but God only knows. But the fact of the matter is, they created a problem that they thought that they were going to solve and get a promotion for. And the American people, they was dependent on y'all to have short memories because they know that y'all like TikTok and Reels and Shorts. And y'all said, we didn't forget that one though. Because we also suffering. And you can't have two problems. You got to pick a struggle. You got to pick a struggle. You can't have two problems at the same time. You got to pick a struggle. And so that's what I believe happened. And now she's getting pressed about it.
It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution.
What if it's a problem that you created?
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
Fox came with so much smoke. Fox is out here outfoxing a competition. Fox came with so much evidence and so much smoke that you can't gaslight us through this one. You got to address this, baby. Baby girl, you got to address this one. You can't just walk away from this. You can't gaslight your way through this. They got evidence. They went and dug into the archives. They look at Senate hearings and everything. That's called preparation.
The early days. So do you owe them an apology is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss.
I want to say this. That's not an apology. That's not an apology. To say, I'm sorry for your loss is not an apology. People do that every single day when they run into somebody who lost a loved one and they say, you know what? I'm sorry for your loss. That doesn't mean that I'm admitting responsibility. It means that I'm compassionate towards what you're going through. I want people to understand the difference. An apology first starts with responsibility and accountability of what the problem is and saying that I'm responsible. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and that shouldn't have happened, and I should have did better. We shouldn't have opened up the border. You got to admit and tell me what the problem is that you created that ultimately led to the suffering of my family. To say that I'm sorry for your loss is not an apology. That is supposedly showing empathy for the victim of the crime. Police officers do that to victims all the time when they get robbed or somebody happened or a mother finds a child. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for you. That's not an apology. That's not an apology.
Sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate.
If I'm the mother of those children, if I'm somebody who suffered at the hands of an illegal migrant that wasn't supposed to be in this country, that came in under the border under this regime, that would not be enough for me. I would be pissed. That would not be enough for me. Hey, I'm sorry for your loss, but let's talk about what's going on over here. I would be pissed.
In solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before.
Let me, if anybody is campaigning for Donald Trump right now in this particular moment at 7 minutes and 29 seconds into this interview, it's Kamala Harris. Let me rewind it for the people in the back, for the Eric D's and all of the women that just continue to come at men and say, hey man, y'all supposed to be voting this way. Let me go ahead and use this as evidence. Judge, I would like to enter in Exhibit A. Exhibit A, Judge.
When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before.
So now you finally admit, and if I'm her aides in the back, if I'm her campaign manager, I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what is going on with her? What is going on with her? So you're telling me that it's not Trump's fault and that he did do all that he could and he did have all of these things that y'all then torn down when he first got into office, because y'all will sit there and say he wanted to tear down Obamacare. What did you tear down of his? So now you finally admit, because you got pressure and you don't know what to do, and so you can't operate with a teleprompter, and so now you got pressure and you say, you know what? This ain't even Trump's fault. This was way before Trump came in. He just tried to come in and fix the problem. He just tried to come in and stem the flow of migrants into this country, the stem of flow of fentanyl into this country. What you like to say, transnational gangs that you supposedly prosecuted. So now you finally admit it. Hey, Bret, let me give a round of applause for Bret. In less than 7 minutes, and I told y'all they was going to have an interview less than 30 minutes long. In less than 7 minutes, Bret made her, put her in a finger four leg lock. Put her in a finger four leg lock. Let me rewind it again for the people in the back, because I want y'all to hear this. Hear this with your eyes. Listen to understand. Hear this with your eyes. Hear this with your ears. You got 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. Listen to understand and not listen to the response. Pay attention to what she's saying here. Pay attention.
When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that.
Thank you for being honest for one time in your life.
Saying that this is a perfect immigration system, I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking.
For the first time, actually the second time in an entire 3.5 years, this is her second time in her entire 3.5 years of actually paying attention, mentioning, and going to the border. And she was there for a quick photo op and was not actually there to solve a problem and see what the issue is, because they already know what the issue is.
With border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist, they will tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Bret. Well, that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question. There were 90-plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've
Oh, I know. Listen, you know what that look is? That's the look of brokenness. That's the look of despair. I used to have that look on my face when I would get in trouble at school, back in elementary school. And, the teacher would catch me and I would think, okay, well, listen, maybe she could just give me detention and I'll just tell my mother that I had to stay after school in order to go to basketball practice or whatever. And they would say, you know what? We're going to suspend you and we're going to call your mother. And I had that same look on my face. I said, you know why? Because I knew it was over. I knew what was waiting on me at the end of that road. I knew that when I got home, it was going to be a good leather strap. That good old leather. And God, please get to me before my father got home. I would take the whooping for my mother before I got my father, because at least I could tell my dad, hey, my mom already got me. That look right there is the same look I had on my face. When a counselor or the administrator at the school said, you know what, we're going to call your parents. Oh, God I knew that belt was coming. Just gird up, act like you sleepy all day. You know what I'm saying? It's a horrible feeling. When you get caught like that and they say, listen, all of those Border Patrol agents that you said that they just talked to, they endorse Trump. Oh, that gotta hurt. That gotta. When you start getting sick, oh, I don't feel good. You start getting the bubble guts because you know 3 o'clock is coming and school about to let out and mama already know what you got to deal with. You start crying before you even get into the house. I gotta use the bathroom. I gotta take that shirt off. This woman is getting a whooping on live TV. Live TV, she getting a whooping. Magilla, gorilla, Magilla, gorilla. This is a real life beatdown.
Been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock.
That's why they endorse Trump.
I get it.
There's a lot.
So we're 8 minutes and 51 seconds in. 1/3 of the way. Don't worry, this is going to be the greatest live stream of all time because we're going to break this down. This is a masterclass that Bret put on. And then we're going to go over to CNN and see what they thought. And then we're going to see what phone call Obama made to what celebrity for holding him accountable for talking like black men. Don't worry, we're going to get there. We're going to get there today, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are. And yes, we can. Let me read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Boogie, shout out to my dog Boogie, said, Madam Vice Prattling, the queen of the prattle. Shout out to you. Chris Mayberry says, secure the 50 acres we spoke about, going to start moving the shooting range there this weekend. Shout out to my dog, Chris Mayberry. Congratulations. Thomas G says, Trump on PBD. Yep, I heard about that. Offensive, it don't matter. We gonna do what we do. We do numbers no matter what. We don't care about what nobody else got going on. Offensive TikToker says, if someone in China commits a crime against you and the cops say, describe the way that they look, how do you? You gotta describe everyone in a 1 mile radius or everybody in the entire country. Frederico says, Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me. Good morning, Mr. Anton Daniels. Ain't he? Ain't Jesus the man? High Tolerance says, good morning, AD. We saw Drago, Creed 2.0 on full display. The only thing that was missing was Duke telling Comcom in her Bluetooth, throw in a towel. Did y'all remember what Duke was the greatest over actor that I've ever seen in my entire life. He had them red eyes and he was crying. Throw in a towel. If he dies, he dies. Throw in a towel. If he dies, he dies. Shout out to Duke. Keyshawn White says she sees how Trump feels now. Leadership. Build Free Media says she came late to hurt the interview. It backfired. Yep. My name is Corey in the building says this falls at the feet of her DEI hired campaign manager, Julie Chavez Hernandez. She set up Harris to duck the smoke her whole campaign, and she didn't have her ready for this. When you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Big One of Dub says, menace to society, my voice. You know you done effed up right. You know you done effed up right. Kevro says, I would have bet money the start of her answer was going to be, we grew up in the middle class. I bet you it was, but Bret stopped that in his tracks. Chris Mayberry says, his yes, ma'am, is like Roger in the military. You say it respectfully to be an a-hole. Ray says, she better off blaming Biden. Chase Barnes says she's going to need an MRI after this interview. Beat down. Eric Welf says, any white boy named Bret, that's a good man, Savannah. That's a good man, Savannah. Duran Lee says, after watching this interview, where's Tony Duke Evers when you need him? Cynthia Haynes says, good morning, beautiful black people. Bret was gone with the wind fabulous. Bret came to slay. I agree with you. D. Lloyd is in the building, says, if I were the ops, I'd be drooling for Kamala to get in office. If Trump can have pull outside of the club, just wait to see what they'll attempt to do. Even her voice screams doormat. Jew Shiesty in the building, heck of a name, living in the Bay Area and working for the union in Oakland. As long as everyone else sees every issue that this administration has brought, appreciate you for educating everyone. Be about the real issues. Thank you, my friend. Rod, shout out to Rod Darby, says first ever super chat. She looks like she is performing at Amateurs night. Y'all was ready to vote for her. Courtney, why was y'all ready to vote for her? Baby, he giving her an A-whooping. Courtney said, we wasn't about to vote for her. Delta Fox in the building says, notice she shakes her head as she apologized. She doesn't mean it. I never mean it. Her mouth says yes. My mind's telling me no. But my body's telling me yes. Baby, now I don't want to hurt nobody, but it's something that I must confess. I ain't gonna do all of that. Delta Fox says, notice she shakes her head as she apologized. She doesn't mean it. Her mouth says yes, and her body and her brain is saying no, and she can't control it. She can't control herself. Let me get a glass of water, because I see this is gonna be one of them live streams. I got it right here. Let me get some water. You said what now? This is gonna be one of them live streams, y'all. It's gonna be one of them live streams, y'all. It's gonna be one of them. We going all cam today. All gas, no brakes. All gas, no brakes. We going cam today. Cam. We coming at you today. Yes, we coming cam today. Give me a second. I'm gonna read the rest of these super chats. We got any more water in there? I don't know. All right, let's get into it. Let me continue to read some of these super chats, and then we're going to get back into the show. Latrell says, they pretty much created a problem with our tax dollars. Shout out to Latrell. King Stennis is in the building, says she believes she should let people in more freely. She's saying it's broken, meaning she believes we should let people in more freely. Kay Woodlard says she can't answer questions without blaming Donald Trump. She refuses to accept accountability for their failures. Jasmine Swan says Bret shook her up in some flour and dropped her in a pan of Crisco like a chicken that she is. Jew Shiesty in the building says, notice they don't ever do the money breakdown of the bill. Less than 20% of the bill actually went to the border. Talk to them. On top of that, we spend more money on migrants, needless supplies for the homeless, and wars for others. Border, we not going for that no more. Not getting finesse. DJ A says a full Nelson. Yes, Carolina's own DJ K Smooth in the building says, good morning, AD. There are some migrants that make all migrants look bad, but this game propaganda is a classic misinformation ploy. The same first tactic that was used during the Afghanistan war. Nope, they let people in unvetted. She just blamed Obama and the Congress. DJ Carolina's K Smooth says it was discovered that the British troops were disguised as Arabs committing heinous acts against Afghan civilians in order to boost support and justify the destabilization and control of the region. Keyshawn White says they wouldn't need Congress and no reversals. That's facts. K Smooth says in this case with the migrants, this gang propaganda ploy increases public outcry and hatred of migrants that are actually civilized, hardworking people. We're not against immigration, we against illegal immigration. Deloitte says the past decade is 6 years that involve Biden, so Trump may have been correct about Biden not liking her. Black and armed family in the building. Shout out to y'all, says crazy about the border is they don't need Congress to shut it down. DJ Kane says, who is going to the Trump rally in New York, October 27th? Blue Blood Royalty says, Blue Blood Royalty in the building says, shout out to the Bag Chasers, the best morning show. Hey, are y'all not sharing this with y'all family and friends? Share this with Ma'am and Gam and Mama and Paw. and we gonna run it up. Smam says, saw you on Dr. Phil giving them that work. You seen me yesterday? Okay. Simply Alex D1 says, in Columbus, Ohio, my whole gym speaks Spanish now. Por favor. Smooth Artist says, $1 Million Morning Show is booming. Kevin Whaley says, she gonna cry on CNN. A-Man01 says, good morning, Eddie, your wife is looking at you. That's because she don't want me singing to y'all. She only want me singing to her. He put Kamala in the blender. Come on, A. Kelly. No, I don't like that name. Miss Harris gonna need a good cherry digging at the, oh my Jesus Christ, y'all insane. Annie Marie in the building, and we, the best co-hosts, are here for it. Kay Woolard says, I just realized someone is sitting in the background. Tell her we said hello. They said hello. We the Keys DJ says her best interview of the campaign, she gonna upset Trump. Let's bet. I take any bets. Adonis 1909 says, oh snap, acapella ABC. He's skipping that. All right, AD, you got my attention. Can I get the R. Kelly one more time? Nope. Five Brown says, yo, 80s interview is a complete disaster. Everything is a deflection of blame. Trump, no leadership, bone in her body. I did a counter. It was 42 Trump mentions. Oh, really? Shout out to Gabriel Rosario. I appreciate you. Let me read a couple of cash apps, and then we're going to go over to the next portion of the interview. Shout out to my dog, Phil Jack, in the building. Said you just showing love. Thank you, Phil, man. You always holding me down, bro. Absolutely. All right, Chris, I'm coming back to your cash app, your super chat shortly. And everybody that support the platform, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Let's get back into it. Second part. Let's get over to, I think we was at almost 9 minutes, right? All right, let's get.
Men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
So you are a chameleon. You are a chameleon. So instead of saying, nope, I don't support the same things that I used to support in order to get y'all vote, this time I'm switching it up because I need y'all to vote for me, so I'm going to say whatever it takes in order to get myself in office. You just say, you know what, that was 5 years ago, and I just made clear I'm going to follow the law. Okay, let's continue. We there.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So
Bret got all pressure. Bret is all pressure. Jesus Christ, Bret. Good God, this is Showtime Lakers right here. Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as Vice President.
Yes, you have.
I will not do that as President.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
No, but let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted
transnational gangs and trying to stop the flow of fentanyl across the country. It's the same. Listen, she looking to where she can insert herself into these same talking points that we've heard 1,000 times. Listen, I'm the only person that's running for government that's prosecuted transnational gangs. I already know what she's going to say before she say it. Before you finish the statement, I already hear it.
Be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
I have not seen it past that point. So past the 10-minute mark is when I stopped it because I said that I wanted to review the rest of it with you guys. I did not see this. Come on, man. Hold on. They don't have visual references too. Jesus, Bret. What are you trying to do to this woman? Completely kill her whole political career? She wasn't expecting this.
A lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery. For prisoners. For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law, and it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in this pregnancy.
She's acting like a child now. Listen, Trump never advocated for it. He never was on board for it. However, let's talk about you for a minute. Do you support it? And she says, I'm just making clear I'm going to follow the law. I'm just making clear I'm going to follow the law. Now y'all see why it's so dangerous to elect certain people into legislative branches, and why voting not just for the presidential election, but for Congress members, for what happens in your state, your governors, your elected officials all across the board is so important, because they advocate for this. They push this through. They go across the United States of America, and they make sure that they push this in front of y'all and push this in front of y'all face and say, vote based off of this proposal, and this is what we're going to do. And as long as we can get support from Congress, and this is what we're going to do. And they continue to do this, and now they want to take their hands off of it and say, oh, I'm just following the law. No, you advocated for it, and that's why they presented you with the evidence of you on camera saying that you with it. No, you should not support sex change for prisoners, and we should not be using taxpayer dollars to do that. I don't know why that's so difficult. And you know what the worst part about it is? People that sit there and tell me that they Christian, people that sit there and tell me that they about God, people that sit there and tell me that they love Jesus, people that sit there and tell me that they Muslim, people that sit there and tell me all of these things, and then they'll turn around and say, no, but we voting for the Democrats. We voting for Kamala Harris, because it's not just her. It's all of these Democrats that's doing this demonic behavior and this demonic bullcrap. So then y'all will sit there and say, oh, she's all for love and peace. No, she's all for using your taxpayer dollars to do things that we don't want happening in our society. And so how can you be for us and against us at the same time? Even God says, I'd rather you be hot or cold, but lukewarm, I spit you out of my mouth. And all she can say is, you know what? I'm going to follow the law. Full court pressure. Full court press.
It's in black and white.
Would
Not
you still
half court
advocate
traps,
for using
none of
taxpayer
that.
dollars for gender reassignment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I think
say
Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters, because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that,
it's pretty effective,
as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again,
really? Y'all spend a majority of your time talking about reproductive rights. I think that people want to leverage their tax dollars to do something different than reassignment surgery in prison.
And his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump.
No. You can say what you believe, but the people have spoken, and en masse, on both the Democratic side and the Republican side, people are saying that they trust Trump to fix the economy versus what they've experienced with you and what your proposals are, and your inability to explain exactly how we're going to pay for it. But people are saying that they trust Trump more when it comes to the economy, and that's just the facts. It doesn't matter what you believe. The people have spoken. They say that they trust Trump on the economy, and for good reason. You know why they say that they trust Trump on the economy? Because we actually was thriving in 2016 through 2020. It's just the facts. That's not my opinion. Everybody was getting money. It was clubbing. Club ain't even real no more. People don't even buy no bottles no more. Strippers are struggling. I ain't never seen no stripper struggle unless she aged out. The young ones are struggling. Have y'all ever seen a young struggling stripper? It's crazy. You know what happens when a stripper starts struggling? They start doing things outside of the strip club. You got to do what you got to do to get what you want. They start acting like Diamond on Players Club. Pay me my money. They start acting like Diamond on the Players Club. When the recession hit, and y'all keep saying it's jobs, you know, I know a Chrysler worker. Y'all would call him Stellantis, but here in Michigan, we call him Chrysler. They supposedly had got this historic contract. You know what the first thing that Stellantis offered them? Y'all want to buy a Jeep Wagoneer, like my dog Slimmy said. Make sure y'all tuning in to After Hours tonight. They said, do you want to buy a Jeep Wagoneer? They sold him a Jeep Wagoneer. You know what he doing today? You want fries with that burger? You want cheese? Well done, no pink? I got you. They trying to go to school. They got 2 burger flipping jobs and all of that. People trust Trump on the economy because he wants to put Americans first. And so, yes, we want to go back to a time that was great. No, we don't want to continue to move forward with what we've experienced over the last 3.5 years. That's just the facts.
Trump people are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said. I heard this one.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for...
I already know what she's going to say, and then she probably going to say also her plan for the child tax credit is $6,000. Like, I'm trying to get to the meat of it. That's why I'm just letting it play out.
Small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
So wait a minute, let me get this straight. We had unprecedented peace and prosperity. The two P's. It's actually a third P that go in there. I'm just not sure it's appropriate for the Millionaire Morning Show. We had unprecedented peace, prosperity, and let's just say box. And the ladies was happy too because they didn't have to sell it for $40. No more $40-ing. Women were thriving. They was making money. They was getting to the bag. Running up them student loan debts. Getting their social work on, getting their nursing degrees. They was the most enrolled and the most in debt, but they was having a good time. No $40. No $40. Everybody was getting it. It was unprecedented peace, prosperity, and box. Nobody was selling box. Box wasn't really popping like that at that time. You know what I'm saying? Now everybody is on OnlyFans. Everybody is on OnlyFans now. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I can't understand it. Property taxes is up. Taxes is up. Income is down. Inflation is up. Groceries is up. Everything is up. And she talking about from the rhetoric. Man, I don't care about no rhetoric. I don't care if y'all cuss each other out yesterday to Sunday to today. The only thing I care about is what my pocketbooks look like, man. What money are you spending and are you making it rain?
And have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of
who you lift up. It's not about who you break down. It's about who you lift up.
Leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates.
This is all empty BS. And this is the thing I don't like. That's that I don't like. This is that thing I don't like. It's all empty. It's not about who you bring down. It's about who you lift up. It's not about who running on a problem instead of finding a solution. It's not about, like, this is all unburdened what has been undone by who is going. This is all silly nonsense. We want real solutions. Listen, no more. Hey, what you got? She said, black man, I got some weed for you. Okay.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track.
I wasn't aware of this. This is from the Marquette Law School. Woo!
That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
Presser.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Wait. Hey, somebody told me in here that she did well. When I went to my Instagram feed and I checked Facebook for the first time in 7 months, somebody told me that she did well. Did this woman just literally say, and Donald Trump has been running for office? When answering the question of 80% of people saying that the country is on the wrong track, and you've been in office for the last 3.5 years, did she literally just say, and Donald Trump has been running for office? Oh my God. I cannot. This is my first time seeing this. I'm seeing this for the first time, y'all. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Hey. It's some of y'all that's watching this right now that got wives. We're going to take a smoke break. And we're going to come back to this because we got to read a couple super chats. We got to pay some bills. It's some of y'all in here that got wives that's secretly going to the ballot box and is still going to vote for Kamala Harris. Hear me and hear me clearly. Some of y'all got wives that are secretly still going to stroll to the polls, and because it's their sorority sister, and some of y'all wives are looking for a masculine man to stand on business and to hold you down and to tell you what to do and control your life and say, hey, baby, you ain't got to work no more. You can just come and work for me, or you can stay home with the kids. And he is going to go and vote for Kamala Harris right after he tuck his balls in with his G-string. Y'all gonna have to get these people in order and get them in line. Get them in order and get them in line. There's no way that we should be sitting here discussing who is better for America, what this woman just said, and Donald Trump has been running for office. Come on, y'all. Y'all gonna have to get y'all people in order. Listen, there's some of these old folks, we can't help them. That's Clinton's era, that's Bush era, that's even Obama's era. They voted for Obama because they couldn't wait to see a black man in office, and look what he gave you. He gave you men going into women's bathrooms and using them in urinals. But we got to wake up. Come on, y'all. Get up off the plantation. Get off the plantation. Get off the horse. They going to take you to go and fight some mandingo over there. Get off. Don't do it. Get on off that plantation and come over here with the rest of us that's getting this bag. Tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We got Stock Club coming up. We just did the real estate conversation. It's popping. Come on over. Listen, come on over. It's better over here. It's so much better over here. It's money. It's money over here. It's dancing. It's joy. It's cars, clothes, good praises of God, good energy, warm weather. You ain't got to worry about no roaches going up your wall, rats crawling through the streets. Your car start every morning, even if it's cold outside. You know what I'm saying? Over here on the Republican side, on the conservative side, we got good praises. We got chicken, barbecue, watermelon. I know you like some watermelon. We got watermelon. It got seeds in it. Not that HMO, GMO stuff. We got healthcare coverage, life insurance, no more GoFundMes. We ain't got to do no fish fries over here. We got good, nice watches, no bust downs. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to bust it down for a real one. You ain't got to go and do nothing with somebody that you don't even like in order to go and pay your rent. Listen, we getting it. We getting it over here. We dance. We have fun. You know what I'm saying? We work hard because we not looking for a handout. We ain't got to worry about nobody kicking in our doors. Ain't nobody stealing from us. We in safe neighborhoods. Our kids can play without any kind of problems and troubles. It's better over here. Y'all still want to be over there suffering? You getting laid off? You trying to figure out how you going to pay your mortgage? The repo man is coming to get your car. He tracking you. You running. He tracking you running. He tracking you running. You keep borrowing from Peter to pay Paul after pay. When you looked at your credit card statement, did it say Democrat? When you look at your credit card statement that you got to pay and all of it is going to interest and nothing is going to the principal, do it say Democrat on there at the final bill? Democrat. Kamala did it. We got sushi. Yes, we do got sushi over here. We got sushi. We got greens. We got greens, beans. We got everything. We got everything over here. All good things, though. None of that other stuff. And women get to use women's bathrooms and men get to use men's bathrooms. And we teach our children that we have to respect each other and don't go in each other's bathrooms because boys are supposed to go over here and girls go over there. We don't have no triangles, no octagons on our bathrooms. We got regular bathrooms and say men and women. Men and women. The logo on our bathroom ain't like this. It ain't none of that. It's all normal. None of that. Let me read some of these super chats. We're going to get back into it. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Krista Jackson says there's no way she should be able to be president with her deodorant working that hard and her being that flustered. She was unhinged. She was unburdened by what has been. Sean Hess says, get these likes up. Y'all not subscribed. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel too. We do this every morning. Kev Rowe in the building says she also left an innocent man on death row as a district attorney. Mag Natar 17 says that prison ad of her will be her wrestling entrance theme. By the way, what's the name of her finishing move? I don't know. I got to think that through. Night Jade in the building says, worse than an SS officer, I was following orders. That's what she said. I'm following law. And she out here in there in church. Cap. Tyrone says, AD, please say it aloud. Politics aside, from a moral standpoint, if you support Democrats today, you will hold DEMON. And we know who you serve. Ain't Christ the King that they serve. Kamala, I plead the fifth. Fi Brown says, crazy how her and her supporters will say, oh, that was 5 years ago. Like, let it go, that's old. But they'll reference Trump allegedly not renting the blacks 50 years ago in the 70s as a talking point. Talk about it. Talk about it, Fi. Presidential says, she says she'll follow the law and power, she'll just make a new law, peep game. Facts. Jimmy the Dean in the building says, derailed harder than the train in East Palestine. Thomas, Miss Thomas in the building. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name and I don't want to butcher it. Let me try it. Ajaratu says, I was a middle class, plan failed to take over most of her interview. I guess her next plan is where she can choose her hole to dive sideways in. Talk to her, Miss Thomas. I love you, baby. Chase Barnes says the new defensive call is forecourt Bret. Bret is no joke. I wouldn't want to face Bret. He should have been a lawyer. Anton, I'm a 28-year-old black man, and I wanted to thank you for being a blessing and a true representation of what a God-fearing man looks like. Hallelujah. You saying y'all want to follow Steve Harvey and Ricky Smiley no more? Reckless Ray De Niro says, she just said, what we would do as president of the United States of America. Who is we and who own her? Obama. J-Rock 2K24K says, D-Ray, get the table. Tech Coach Ralph in the building. Shout out to Tech Coach Ralph says, you have to take responsibility for what happens in your administration. Run that ad. I'm about to do my own Kamala Harris ad. Latrell M says, Bret Hitman Hart put Kamala in the sharpshooter. I'm waiting on the part where they said Kamala did well. We're going to get to the next part. Me University said the chat is a shooting guard, greatest quote of 2024 on or offline. Ain't I talking my talk? Chat lives matters. Asia, shout out to my girl Asia. In her head, he's a new target. She embarrassed. She probably going to go on a revenge tour. Sean S. says, in 2016 through 2020, these women getting that nursing degree were about to get that bumper for that. They getting their bumpers fixed for that Ultima. That's a fact, though. Ray, what up? Ray says, $200, she'll let you do anything. It's crazy out here. It's a recession. Kay Willard says they blame Trump for finger pointing, but they are pointing fingers themselves. Gray Way in the building says, I don't want to listen to her with my eyes or my ears, AD. I don't want it. Mass E says, appreciate you spreading the knowledge often. We gonna get there. We getting there. And 8-Bit says, peace and prosperity and profit. And one more thing. Kay Hillman, what up, Kay? What up, Kay? What up, Kay? Beans and Greens in the building says, if you're still a fence sitter after this, I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for all that you do, AD. Love you, darling. I love you too. I love you too. 100% me says, I saw that Dr. Phil episode. That guy next to you was definitely in his feelings, and he was looking like he was going to cry. Don't worry, I'm going to buy his building. I'm going to buy tomorrow. Marie 2020 is in the building. Shout out to me, Marie. Big Al says, good job, big dog. You holding it down. Great job on Fox. F. Obama and the Democrats. We not going back. Not to that part of life. Billy Ray says, is Brett cutting onions? Her emotions is out of control, and this is supposed to be strong leadership. Nope. We need a stoic leader. High Tolerance in the building says she stepped in the room with the Terminator going off pink horsepower. Shout out to Cameron. That man was on her A in LA traffic, 94 Razorbacks, all gas, no brakes. And my dog JC in the building says, Democrats have been in charge for 12 of the past 16 years. Like, what is she even talking about? I don't know. But how about we go back into the show, and shout out to my dog Jamal Fowler, I'm going to read that shortly. How about we go back into the show and find out exactly what she was talking about, all right? We not done. Say her name. Say her name, Lakin Riley. Let's get to it.
Leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track.
We're going to skip past this.
If it's on the wrong, but you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
I believe that at that moment, she actually had a brain fart. When he said that 79% of the country is saying that the country is on the wrong track, and then he said, and you've been in office over the last 3.5 years, I believe, honestly, she just didn't know what to say and she had a brain fart. That was a brain fart moment.
What they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
Hold on, wait. The likes is a little low. We approaching over 7,000 people in here on YouTube alone. And the likes is absolutely anemic. It's absolutely anemic. Can we get the likes up, please? And if y'all haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We should get at least 1,000 new to 2,000 new subscribers within the next hour alone. At least 1,000 to 2,000 new subscribers alone, and make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Let's see the brain fart, and then we're going to go from there.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national.
A bunch of people that got fired. Got it.
Security advisor and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends.
Isn't this ironic? He asked her a question and they said, listen, 79% of people are saying that the country is off track. You've been vice president and your administration has been in office over the last 3.5 years, let alone Democrats controlling the presidency for the last 12 of 16 years. And she goes over to talk about Trump. What have you done? What have you done to break this country, and why are people now saying that it's off track?
Spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid? What is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who.
Why she can't answer the question? Boy, she resulted back to the word salad quick because that direct answering of the questions was not working out for her.
Talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
They have every single chamber loaded in the clip. I don't even think that she knew that she was getting into. It's no way, if I was an aide, if I was a person that was on her campaign, no way I would have let her sit in front of Bret. Bret got the quarterback jaw. When you got that straight jaw, have y'all ever seen Moneyball, where they got to evaluate a player and they evaluate the player's girlfriend, they evaluate whether or not he got confidence and all of this? Bret is the quarterback jaw, straight shooter, always prepared, probably came into the interview understanding that you wasn't going to be the best candidate anyway, but he did so just because, you know, his assistant wanted to try to prove themselves, and so he going to fire her after the interview in the first place. Like, that's Bret. Bret is the guy that you see coming into the interview, and if you don't have a game plan, you can't just answer the question to get the job. You got to do something unique. Bret ain't Charlemagne. Bret ain't Steve Harvey. Bret ain't Ricky Smiley. Straight jaw, quarterback's jaw.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Bret, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked.
Well, she out of pocket. What you doing? What are you doing? Get out of my bag. That's not what I was looking for, but... Jesus.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy.
When you just start losing the battle, you start resulting to talking about your enemy instead of start talking about your plans. That's how I usually know that I got somebody. That's how I know I got somebody. Whenever I'm in a content creator fight or a battle with somebody, I know that my enemy is fearful. They know that they're losing and they're about to completely get wiped out when they start focusing more on me than what they're supposed to be doing. The minute that I get you out of pocket, I know I got you. The minute that I get you to start worrying about what I got going on instead of worrying about what you're going to do and execute, I got you. We 100% offense, no defense over here. Offense, no defense. Offense, no defense. The minute that I can get you on your back heel, I got you. It's over.
And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America.
Ooh, you seeing that real woman come out. See, this is who she is behind the scenes. What y'all see happening right now, what Bret just basically did, is he got her out of pocket. She not smooth, she not calm, she not collected. This is probably what Dougie experiences when he get out of it. What, Dougie? You didn't have dinner? I can't believe you. This is who she is. What you see transforming right now, Beetlejuice, 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 what you see this monster that's coming out of her is who she truly is behind the scenes, not this poised person that you see pretending on camera, okay?
Because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be...
I wouldn't want to stand in front of her. I thought she was Mamala. That ain't Mamala. See them veins popping out of her neck? I can't even do it as much as she can do it. See how strong her neck is? That necklace is about to snap. That necklace is about to snap. What? That necklace is going to snap. She going to throw something at him in a minute. Calm down, girl. Stay in your femininity.
Peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat.
I see the demon
to the
and I pray it out of you.
United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump.
The significance of that.
You call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well.
Relax,
you say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room. And he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
you talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people.
Bret got full court pressure on Kamala Harris. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus. You know how many different reactions that I can do to this video? At least 12. At least 12. Jesus. He don't back up. Bret is worse than Jesse Lee Peterson.
People who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out, even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again.
Could you imagine if she had did a whole hour? Nope.
His former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact.
Bret going through his next question. He ain't wasting no time.
That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there, most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do, to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those
is,
proxies were getting funded by
my
Iran.
commitment to that is
trying to get through this
unyielding
interview.
and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's
in
go back
oil
to Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimate.
This is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. I'm almost, not quite, I almost feel sorry for her. This is brutal. This is like bullying almost at this point. She don't have a clue. She had no idea what she was running into. This is nasty. Bret is not letting up. Bret, it's the fourth quarter. You up by 40. Fourth quarter up by 40. 7 minutes to go. And Bret still got his starters in the game. Fourth quarter up by 40. 7 minutes to go. And Bret still got the starters in the game. Bret is doing to Kamala Harris what the Detroit Lions did to the Dallas Cowboys. Bret is doing to Jesus. Lord be offense. He still got his starters in the game. They running up the score. They padding their stats. They getting triple doubles.
Then it was during Donald Trump's administration that Iran regime, that we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance. We're
talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering
she's trying to overtalk
what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're rapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what
they rapping them very hard. That means they pushing them to shut the interview down. Oh, they behind the scenes. Shut this down. Now, no more questions. No more questions. That's it. No, I know you got another question. No. What is he doing? What is he doing? They pressuring him. Behind the scenes, they telling them to shut it down. Ooh, ain't no way in the world she can survive an hour of this. They shutting him down? Bret, not another month. Bret, I'm telling you, if you ask one more question, say it again. Do it again. Pressure again. Over. I said cut or cut, Bret. Cut or cut. Which one you want, Bret? Which one you want, Bret? Hey, Fox, give Bret a raise. Give Bret a raise. They said cut or cut. Which one you want, Bret?
What you wanted to say about Donald Trump, there are a lot of things
There's more to say. I have much more to say,
there are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why I
invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them, and it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
And that's why
intend
we
to do to
invited you
strengthen
here
our economy,
to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President,
And
they're giving me a hard rap
Well,
here.
I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
That was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. Oh. I know Dougie had to catch it when he got home. To have to deal with a woman that just, have y'all ever dealt with a woman that came home and said, you know what, my boss, I'm up to here. I'm up to here. I'm up to here when it comes to working at that place anymore. I can't stand it. Brenda keep telling on me. Melissa just keep coming in smelling like smoke. Chandra over there, she ain't even doing her job, and I got to keep picking up the slack from her. And Ethel done been here the whole time, and she ain't did nothing in the last 16 years. She been here for 40, ain't did here nothing in the last 16 years. I don't know what she got on him. I'm so sick of Ethel. Have y'all ever heard a woman come home after work after dealing with something that she don't want to deal with at her job? And she's sick of Brenda, Melissa, Ethel, and Chandra? Huh? Melissa, Chandra, Ethel, and then Brenda. Ethel ain't did nothing in the last 16 of the 40 years she done been here. They still ain't fired her. I don't know what she got. Oh, Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret Hitman Hart. Aaron Miller says she did all right. Yeah, okay. Woo! Let me read some of these super chats. We're going to get CNN's take on this. Jamal Fowler. Shout out to my dog Jamal Fowler in the back. Jay, we got over 7,000 people in here. The likes is a little bit anemic. Jay Sanchez says, Joy Reid is having a connection as we speak. Kamala destroyed herself. I know Joy. We going to get there. We going to get there, y'all. Ring Rival says, AD, I've been watching you for a while. You're the reason why I created my first video explaining how Dems created black ghettos through redlining. Could you take a look at it and rate it as a content creator? Ring Rivals, is that your name? All right, I'll check it out, big dog. Cozy Jake says, what up, though? Shout out to Cozy Jake. Tax Smith says, she's trying to hand us crutches. No one in her administration are the ones who broke our legs in the first place. She has the nerve to say she's been helping us. Helping who? Miss Thomas in the building says 3.5 years. She went from 60 years to a teen card. That was rough. Smooth Artist says, man, she mentally restarted. We like to call that resmarted. We call that resmarted over here. Brother Reggie says, salute from Japan, AD. Shout out to my Japanese people out here. Says, I just watched that entire interview and Bret cooked that 304 goose. Shout out to my people over there in Japan. I love Japan. Brina Jen says, still salty from being blown up. Kamala Harris forgot about targeting Tulsi Gabbard and Quiet Skies program. Jay Sudiger says, Trump is living rent-free in Kamala's head and the Democrats know it. He about to win in a landslide. Rain says, she showed up late to the interview and didn't want to be live as was agreed upon. Pathetic. Night Jade says, black just came out. The black just came out. Look, white men doing it too. Kev Rothstein says, everything about her reminds me of that stank auntie that can't cook, drinks too much, and gets mad when nobody touches her potato salad at the cookout. But y'all ain't eating. Y'all ain't eating. Why you laughing, Rita? I like fried rice. G says, if I started politics today, I would have keep on putting raisins in the macaroni. If I started politics today, I would have thought Trump was her man from how much he stays in her mouth. New drinking game unlocked. John Patterson says she kind of got a black a little bit. Yeah, we've seen a black. Maybe Candace Owens is wrong. Brett Samuels pulled the modern woman out of her. Happens every time. You can't hide it. Imagine if she was in front of Putin. In front of Putin and Putin at the same time. And y'all want her in control of the button? Hell no. Frederic on the building says, remember that internet craze made popular by women? I'd rather be alone in the woods with a bear. Bret Baier just sent her home to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. Jay Sanchez is in the building, says, you can't go off and have the nuclear codes. And people wonder why they are resistant to women as president. Old nasty attitude. Pookie's friend Ray Ray says, this is embarrassing. He really knocked Kamala off her mask. She probably sees Bret in nightmares now. Bret living rent-free in her head now too. Kung Fu Hustler says, a decade ago, Barry Soetoro was president. My dog Lance says she tapped into her inner Connie Willis. That's my dog Lance over there. Aja says, a video confirmed crooked behavior from start. Over 15 years ago, bully with her eyes turning black. Why she want to ban social media, believes she's not human. Y'all think that she made up? Ex Machina, Bret was being a sweetheart. This interview was just him handing her a rope and asking her how to tie it. Aztexian Prick says Kamala signed into legislation that the U.S. military can use lethal force against citizens and civil unrest, so she's actually a threat on our republic. This country is a republic, not a democracy. She's planning to take the rights. Chef 673 says, my question is, what are the American soldiers doing in Israel military bases? Didn't she before say that there are no American soldiers in a war zone around the world? Well, we got them now. Kev Rothstein says, bet you every policy written in crayon on her site. Aztec says, so if China or Persia isn't our threat, it's her. Five Brown in the building says, cut, which one you want, Brett? Cut or cut, which one you want, Brett? You know what I'm saying? Mark the Guardian says, Doug doesn't have a job. He will be the first Pookie. Sun Chaser says, he said, I hope you got to say what you wanted about Trump, but these questions are the ones that the people ask. People want to know. Brett did an excellent job. Most hated underrated says, as Trump would say, Brett did a brilliant job. And congratulations, Kamala, you played yourself. I did early voting and someone asked me who I voted for. I said, I voted for my best, but hey, at least the best man wins. Tyler Banks is in the building, says, Trump on PBD and her here continues to show up who better for the job. People waking up. Big Al says, y'all tripping, man. Get the likes up. Please, big dog. AD works hard. I do, don't I? Duran Lee in the building says, Kamala needs to get a restraining order on Brett after that beating. How many fingers am I holding up? 3. Deadly Raver in the building says, watch closely, Prince Vegeta. Massacres like this are rarely seen even by sane eyes. Everybody watching that interview. Dave Burning Miles says, have you no empathy, man? Libra Justice, heads are rolling in the Kamala camp. Everybody need to jump off board right now. Ring Rival says, it's under my conservative millennials channel. Where can I send a video? You can rate it. Hey, somebody in the chat, drop the link. Drop the information. Keyshawn White says Trump might get 20% of the black vote. He should be getting 100% of the black vote. Forsaken Archive says, when y'all gonna bring Miss Sanchez back on Mondays? Are you like Miss Sanchez? Aja says, Joy screams shapeshift to me. Kamala watching this? Of course they watching it. Big Steve says, Jocelyn was raided under that bridge for hours before being killed. She apologized for her loss and not her part in it. Woman's rights. Well, women, y'all can see whether she got y'all back or not. Let's continue on with the show. All right, we want to get CNN's reaction to this whole thing. And so we're going to spend maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes reacting to this. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. If you haven't already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We going over Cash Apps next.
Coming in hot. Vice President Kamala Harris stepping into unfriendly territory and doing a nearly half-an-hour interview with Fox News. And it was heated from the very first moment. Didn't start in like slow and sort of friendly. Nope, from the very first moment till the very end.
She was late. We got to get right to it when you're late.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Shout out to
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And You know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a
which
number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
It's a rough
immigration
estimate of 6 million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came in ship for the
finish?
yes,
May
ma'am.
I finish responding,
But
please?
here-
All right, that was right from the beginning. It was tense, and it continued. At one point, Harris, visibly angry, she was railing against Trump and his threat to target what he has called the enemy from within.
He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States...
This is a republic, and she is out of control. She is out of control. Look at those teeth. Look at how she's gritting her teeth. When a woman talks through her teeth, and I ain't saying teeth with a TH, I'm talking about teeth with an F. When a woman starts talking through her teeth, be on the lookout. Everybody gonna suffer, including Ethel. Care how long Ethel been there. Ethel's gonna catch it.
States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake.
All right, the clenched teeth, the passion, Harris not backing down from a fight. And, you know, you talk about an interview like this, nearly 30 minutes. There's a reason she chose to do this, and there is a lot at stake in an election that the polls show to be neck and neck. So the question is, what did this interview do, and did it win Harris any new votes? All right, and everyone is here with me now to talk about that. So let me ask you about that, Congressman Rose. What do you think in terms of her doing this? I mean, she went in this eyes wide open. Sure. I mean, so let's just say, I don't know how much time Bret Baier was given in the interview, but he didn't start off with a general question. He started right in on immigration, and she came right back. I mean, there was no sort of pretense at...
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Listen, I know how CNN try to spin this because they try to make it seem like they're a fair organization. They are more left-leaning. We all watched the entire interview just a second ago. No, she didn't. She got washed. I ain't never seen nobody get washed and with questions. I've seen people get washed in debates. I've never seen anybody get washed with questions.
Geniality.
There was no build-up.
No.
No. And, you know, we had a fascinating conversation about 30 minutes ago, right? You know, because this is fresh. This was an hour ago. And you know, my friend is saying, oh, this was horrible. It was horrible. She did horribly, this and that. I thought that was an absolute home run because the audience...
This is my first time seeing this. What you see me reacting to today is literally in real time. What interview was he watching? He said this was an absolute home run. What? Bret pressed her and she had to acknowledge the children that was being killed by illegal immigrants. She had no answer for herself, and so she had to continue to go with Trump. She was clenching her teeth. Is something wrong with these people?
It was horrible. She did horribly, this and that. I thought that was an absolute home run because the audience.
This friend right here next to you that you're talking about?
This friend right here. So, oh my God, it was a fire. It was a massacre. No, that was a home run because she sent the one message that needs to be sent, which was, I will go anywhere at any time and show the courage necessary to speak to every American.
Trump and J.D. Vance been doing that the entire campaign. Trump and J.D. Vance been taking unscripted questions and pulling up everywhere, including the National Association of Black Journalists and with Dana Bash on a regular basis. Ain't nobody impressed by that. You just got destroyed.
Because that's what a real president does. The primary critique against her prior to this point was that she was not doing enough interviews. No one thought
this is a Hail Mary play all day long.
Was going to go swimmingly every step of the way. Everyone knew it would be adversarial, but she showed exactly what she needed to show, which was that she is a leader ready to be president on day one.
Did he just convince you?
No, and I love Max. He's a great guy. The reality is she's just now doing this. I told the former congressman, if I were advising the vice president, I would not have advised this unless my internals suggested that I was in trouble. You're looking to appeal to, I assume, some maybe moderate-leaning Republicans, maybe some Republicans who aren't necessarily tied to the former president. I don't think she persuaded them, Aaron, to vote for her in this debate. Her answers on immigration, she said, well, Donald Trump tanked the bill. Let's say you believe that. And Bret Baier said, but what about the first 2 years, where in the first 2 years you had the highest crossings of illegal crossings into the country? And then she said, but Donald Trump. She didn't answer. He then asked her, well, what about your position on supporting taxpayer dollars for gender transitions for those detained, migrants, that is?
He got notes. You know he ready.
She said, well, Donald Trump had a similar law when he was president. Bret said, okay, that's fair, Madam Vice President, but it didn't occur under the Trump administration. What about your position? She didn't answer it. There were a lot of unanswered questions. I'll give her credit. She was stern, she was firm in her defense of her positions. But in terms of persuading conservatives or Republican-minded voters, I'm just not convinced she did it.
Lulu, what do you think the point of it was?
He is dead on. I don't know who that guy is, but he got a mustache, he got a beard, and he is dead on. He is 100% on point, and he is accurate. She didn't answer the questions. She got defensive. She did show up. We got to give her credit from that. It's almost like you get points on the SAT for writing your name on there, or on the ACT. But 100% she got pressed, full court pressure, and she just absolutely folded under pressure.
Was, though. I mean, is it perhaps that she wasn't trying to persuade any voters, that she's looking for clips of this to go around and energize voters she already has to show up?
I was about to say, hello, my friends. I disagree with both of you because I hate to break up such a lovely bromance, but what happened here is as follows. She went into hostile territory, and in our media environment, it's a Rorschach test. And so everyone's going to take from this what they want. There were very strong moments that she had, specifically on defending democracy and on the statements that Donald Trump has made.
No, I don't think she had any strong moments, not one. Objectively, I don't think that she had any strong moments. I think that this was absolutely a mistake on her campaign, and she is in trouble.
And that is going to be clipped, and that's going to be sent around, and people who are persuadable will look at that and say, she did well. And there are going to be clips on her responses on immigration, and people who are persuadable and think that immigration is a serious issue are going to look at that and think she did poorly. And that is the environment in which we live. But I do agree that this is a very good thing for her to do, because at this point, she needs to go on as many places as she can, and she needs to get everyone talking about her, because there are no big moments anymore. There are no debates. There are no big events. This is it. And so she needs to go fight for every vote.
Well, there were a lot of bad moments in this interview.
All right, so Congressman, let me play to this point, because immigration was discussed for quite a period of time, right? So Bret started off with this, trying to pinpoint her on the number of people. He went through the horrific stories of the young women who were killed by illegal migrants. She talked about how horrible that is, and she was emoting about that. And then there was this exchange. Let me play it.
When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
You chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law. And that is exactly what we will do.
Okay, there was a pause there. You know, and Bret had laid it out. You know, people in the country illegally could qualify for free tuition, free health care, and driver's licenses. Do you think that sort of pregnant pause mattered, or do you think she recovered well from that?
No, there was no pauses in this that really are
Who's paying this guy?
of any concern. What matters, and we'll get to you in a second, what matters
He's trolling.
is that there's only one candidate in this race that has the courage to go on the primary news network of their opposition party, right? We all know collectively at this table, Donald Trump would under no circumstances sit down for an interview with MSNBC for an extended period of time. And we also know for certain that no Republican strategist would have the courage to criticize the leader.
As usual, whenever you can't find something good to say about yourself, you start talking about the other person. This is about her making the biggest mistake of her whole campaign and going on Fox News with Bret and thinking that he was going to take it easy on her and that she was going to filibuster her way through this conversation, and she's suffering for it. She woke up with a hangover, and ain't nobody in her campaign going to sit here and lie to her and tell her that she did a good job. That's a fact.
Of their own party for doing that. So as we look at this, right, she took the answer head on, noted for a fact that she
must
wants
be trying
the
to
border
get something,
closed and
a
Donald
spot in
Trump
her cabinet.
wants it open, along with the rest of the political party, the Republicans, who are his blind sycophants on this matter, as on everything else.
I mean, wait a minute here. The vice president, once upon a time, supported taxpayer dollars, your money, my money, your money, all the people who are watching, to go towards people who broke the law coming into our country, to give them driver's license, to pay for tuition when we're struggling to pay for our own children to get a college education. Then her own running mate signed into law in his own state these very things that she's now saying she's now against them. And the American people are supposed to believe that the vice president has now all of a sudden had an epiphany. And all of a sudden, all of her beliefs have magically changed, yet the guy she chose clearly believes these things. And you're flipping it to Republicans?
No, I'm merely noting. And again, very nice job dodging my point. Very nice job dodging my point.
Whoever that guy is, he knows how to articulate himself well. He's 100% right. Let me give him a round of applause. Yeah, that was an absolute bomb of an interview. Shout out to Dylan KO. Dylan KO says, happy Thursday, AD. 2 credit cards paid off, 2 to go. Shout out to the Chasers. Shout out to the Chasers. And I also want to give an acknowledgement before I go into the Super Chats of Christopher Donaldson. Says, camel toe crash out at the end. Yeah, that was bad. That was absolutely horrible. Thank you guys for continuing to support the platform. We got bills to pay up in this joint. Levi DePerro says, Anton, when you have no answer, talk about Trump. That's basically what they did. South 343 says, the Breakfast Club saying she did a good job and was answering questions. We know she crashed and burned, and they was definitely using the parts that they want. Yeah, I don't trust them at all no more. Executive Suite Emily says, Kamala is swinging in the air like Trey right now. Almighty Labels says, if this is how she responds to a reporter, how will she respond to another world leader? We need strong leaders. Duran Lee says, AD, who's going to jump ship quicker, Eric Adams' staff or Kamala's camp, or the Titanic? Juanero Success says, I'm convinced they have her programmed and brainwashed with AI fake news. Mrs. Amazing. What up, Miss Amazing? Says she accuses Donald J. Trump, but her administration already authorized the military use of lethal force against civilians on September 27th. Ooh. Almighty Label says, would have told him to shut up or no more interview. Ring Rival says, salute, great brother. Do you have an email I can send it to? Somebody in the chat, hook him up, please. Southport, one of the moderators. I'm undecided and she didn't persuade me. Shout out to you. Olsen. Shout out to Bidget Olsen, or Bidget Olsen. I'm sorry. From a Danish Viking woman. Ooh. I watched you live last night. My time and your reaction when it was over was amazing. You made me stay up almost all night, but getting 2 hours of sleep before my alarm went off was totally worth it. I'm so glad that I could help you out, love. And thank you for rocking out with me. I'm so glad that you're a subscriber and that you rock out with us. My Danish queen to be. Shout out to my Danish ladies, my Danish snow bunnies in the building. One more thing that we want to go over before we get up out of here is Wendell. Do y'all know who Wendell is? Wendell is an actor. I first personally discovered Wendell, and we only going to spend 10 minutes on this. I personally discovered Wendell when he was in, what's that movie with Angela Bassett, Whitney Houston? Angela Bassett, Whitney Houston, and all of them. Waiting to Exhale. Waiting to Exhale. I first discovered Wendell in Waiting to Exhale. Now, I will give Wendell some credit. He is a great actor, and I loved him in The Wire. He was really, really good in The Wire. But, you know, I discovered Wendell as an actor a long time ago. But one thing that I did discover also along with that was that Wendell, shout out to A. Wyatt, was that Wendell was also a die-hard Democrat. And when I say die-hard, I mean die-hard. And I've always tried to wonder to myself, how do these people wind up becoming Democrats? How do these people wind up becoming die-hard Democrats? The ones that are going to be the most affected by their policies, or maybe not, are usually the ones that are die-hard Democrats, right? And so when I look at the Magic Johnsons and the Wendells, and then I realize it because he was at the Democratic National Convention and he was caping and he was saying that people need to vote Democrat and all of that, right? And then it dawned on me when I seen the title of this video come up of why these people are die-hard Democrats. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is him speaking on Obama, calling him and checking him when he, like me and Stephen A. and every other black man in this world, was saying that they felt offended when Obama tried to make it out to be a misogynistic issue as to why we are not voting for her for president of the United States of America and we picking Trump. And so he jumped on CNN and he backtracked what he was doing in his statement. And all because when he got out of pocket, Obama called him. So all of these people is part of the boule. We'll get there. Let's get to it.
I've known the president for years now, and a mutual contact, you know, said that he wanted to speak. I wanted to speak to him. I didn't offer it as a criticism. For me, it was nothing more than strategists in a room saying, hey, what is the best messaging for black men? I have focused the past 6 weeks of going around the country with a barbershop campaign, right? Going to barbershops to talk to black men, since I heard this every election cycle, they always say that black men are siphoned off. And I found the most effective way to communicate to the men in those gatherings was saying, what do you want?
Do y'all notice how every time somebody is trying to get our attention as men, whatever you want to describe as black men in particular, they don't go to Supercuts. They think that, and I'm not just saying this because I'm bald, they think that we all just be hanging out in the barbershop like the movie Barbershop with Ice Cube in it, just shooting the shots, just talking, just winging it. Yeah, guys, yeah. They think that we all hang out in the barbershops and that's where we congregate. And so they doing a barbershop tour. You know, everything that they say and everything that they talk about, I'm starting to get offended by it. I'm starting to become a modern woman because for some reason they don't think that we're intelligent enough to end up at a golf course, maybe at an online town hall. They got to come and reach us where we at. And so we always shooting the shuck and having the conversations at the barbershop. It's always the same. We're going to decriminalize weed. We know y'all hanging out at the barbershop. You probably got 47-inch rims on your car. Blah, 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 blah. Y'all rock donks, all of that stuff, right? They might as well say, we going to give y'all some watermelon and a pair of Jordans and some white tees while you at it. Maybe they think that we all have our watches bust down and that we all got dreads too. Maybe they need to go and do a tour at the strip club while they at it. I'm going to do a barbershop tour and talk to the black men in order to get them engaged to try to vote for the candidate of their choice. Anyways, let's get back to Wendell. This is so dumb.
Vote for what you want. Declare what your values are, and then go out and make the choice on that. Don't consider my candidate or the other candidate.
They don't go to the job. You know what I'm saying? They don't do none of that. It's always barbershops and weed and watermelon and Jordans. Yeah, man. So I wanted to go and get black men engaged. So you know what I decided to do? I decided to head to Foot Locker because the new J's was coming out this weekend. What? Anyways.
Vote for what you want. And I found it to be effective.
I went over to the local liquor store because I wanted to go engage in the men.
What they would say is, what are you doing here? This is the first time someone came and asked that of me. And so I was saying, simply, that's not the way to get to folks. What I've experienced in the past 6 weeks is the fact folks want to see, what have you delivered?
Did he acknowledge that it was not delivered the right way?
We actually didn't get into which was better or if it was criticism.
Lies. And so now that Obama is back at his mansion and he's watching and he's paying, and this is how you know, listen, all of these people, whether they're a politician or whether they're some kind of celebrity, if they're a football player, basketball player, entertainer, anybody that's got something, these people are super sensitive. I don't care what you say. They get offended. They feel some type of way when people say something that they agree with, they disagree with. And you know Obama was feeling some type of way. You know he was feeling some type of way. Obama was feeling some type of way about the fact that people did not receive him the way that he believed he needed to be received and that he was actually offensive to black men, and we rejected what he was saying about us. And Wendell was trying to, what's a good word? Bloviate, like my guy Stephen A. Smith says. He's trying to bloviate and trying to act like we not focus on what we focus on. And yes, you did do it wrong. Let me be the first to tell you. And so when Wendell decided that he want to say something about it, and hey, listen, I don't like the fact that Obama said that, and then Obama hit him with that phone call. Don't get a phone call from Obama. Probably ain't a good one.
It was saying that we were on the same page. We just wanted to clear it. We wanted to make sure that we were on the same page and that we wanted to reach out to folks. And I think it's just a matter of messaging, one way or the other, and that the focus shouldn't be on the criticism or what is perceived as criticism or what is perceived as the right way or the wrong way to get to black men. The first thing is to approach and engage black men, accept the challenge, and get out the vote.
I mean, Coleman, we had you on last week when this happened. You were critical of it then.
Yeah.
And you probably believe, I assume, that there is some movement toward the right among
Absolutely.
black men.
I mean, we've been talking about that not only on this show, on other shows on this network for over a year. Pew has been studying this issue. There is a clear trend among black men towards the Republican Party and away from Democrats. It's not just about Trump or Biden or Kamala. It's about a party effect. And the question is, why is that? I think it's even bigger than black men. I think it's men in general. I think there's something about the Democratic Party that is
significant.
A lot.
It's
probably
insignificant.
20 different
We've had the same conversation going all the way back.
No, actually, it's really a phenomenon of.
And the fact is, in this election,
the past 8 years,
give me any candidate who wouldn't want 85% of any demographics vote.
Trump
actually
got more of the black vote in 2020 than
he actually got 3 points. You're actually right. He got 3 more points. He got 3 more points.
You also think it's not as significant.
A trend line is not 3 points.
Exactly. Burying your head in the sand isn't going to fix it.
I know, and that's why we're going around messaging to people.
Right, but I think the problem Obama
black men sexist
I think the problem.
Let me help y'all. I don't need a white woman to sit here and come back and tell it. Well, let's hear the white woman and see what she got to say.
Obama had, and I even reacted to it when he did it.
Is that a white woman? I don't know anymore.
And I've been on the other side of when Obama does that. It's the sort of lectury, chiding Obama without treating them in a respectful manner. I didn't find that a respectful way to treat anybody. And immediately really pushing hard on identity politics over what do you want as a person, not just a man, as a person in American society. And I think there's a part of Obama that is the hope person, and then there's that. And I don't think that's an effective way. I think you're 100% right.
I think what he was saying is something that we've all been saying. And that's something that, I mean, as offensive as Donald Trump is to...
Whenever you don't want to hold yourself accountable, start talking about Donald Trump. Whenever you don't want to hold yourself accountable, start talking about Donald Trump.
Black men. It's very hard for a black man to understand why would someone vote for.
Right.
Right? It's racist actions, it's racist words, it's racist policies. Right? And so that was the thing that's in the front. And so what I said was reactionary. I said, yeah, the president shouldn't speak to them that way. Because I have found that something is more effective.
Right.
It was seen as criticism, and that's valid. I don't
No,
think
Obama checked you and now you changing your tune. All of these dudes are paid shills and they all got friends and they don't want to offend their friends. And this is why they should just be quiet. Just stay off TV.
that's as much an issue as the point of making sure that we continue to talk to them and get them out to the polls. And the trend that you're talking about is not that, it will not be that significant.
It's on the margins.
It's on the margins, and those 2 or 3 points may add up to something, and that's why we're engaging black men. That's why the vice president has put out a platform to answer some of those challenges.
Just a key question, actually, because I wanted to ask you the policies in that. I mean, effectively, she said, I'm going to give you marijuana, I'm going to give you crypto, and I'm going to give you unconstitutional government bribes. If a white Republican politician had done that, we would be in 24/7.
That is
a real disservice to an actual substantive policy platform.
To me, it was completely
Scott,
from reality.
Scott. Okay, young people, regardless of their race, they want to hear about crypto. They want to hear about marijuana.
Black men. It was stated
decriminalization.
Yeah, it was stated because black men asked, "What are you going to do for me?" Hold on, Scott.
The idea that those are just
saying that this is what
black men is, I think, not true.
It's not loans for black men. It's loans for anyone. No, it isn't. It isn't. She was telling you this will be effective for you too.
For you also.
They just hurting themselves 10 times over. They hurting themselves more than anything ever. He sat there and just said that that's not even for black men. Okay, so I don't know how much worse this whole campaign can be. I don't know how much more damage can they do to hurt themselves other than just shutting up, because now he's saying that's not even for black men. That's why it says for black men and others. Jesus Christ. I'm going to break all this down on the Anton Daniels channel. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. This is good. This is good. This is going to be one of the greatest elections of all time. Again, if you guys are not subscribed, I would suggest that you do so. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, get your Tiege Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. And then last but not least, make sure that you guys get your tickets. Come and kick it with me in person. Discount code Anton and apply it, and we gonna get there. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let me read some of these super chats, and I'm gonna get y'all up out of here for today. It's been a great show. Tomorrow's gonna be a great show also. Rain says she should get some braids for the next 2 weeks. No stone is unturned. Master Barber Big C says the barbershop is a leveling place where everybody's opinion is respected and you are safe to say what you need to say. And that's not necessarily true either. My dog Lance says they always say the same thing because they never do ish. Dangling the carrot and we still chasing it. Not us. Not us. Jay Denoir says, AD, if these mother effers could, they would offer black men Jordan's fried chicken, weed. They think that lowly of black men, forget the Democrats. Duran Lee says, is that Mr. Wendell Arrested Development that we talking about? Seek the Light says, Wendell don't know black people. That's why Wendell's grocery store failed in New Orleans. I didn't even know he opened up a grocery store. Hey, Anton, Roland Martin put you in a tweet. Let's find out what it is. Roland is scared. I don't see it. I don't see anything, so it doesn't even matter. I don't see anything. So email it to me and then I'll check it out. We'll see what's going on. All right, let's continue to rock out. I don't see it. Shout out to Bernie's book tour. I appreciate you. Gail Johnson says, "What up, though? What up, Gail?" Mark the Guardian says he wanted to reach black men and goes to the strip club. Maybe the basketball court would do. Woo! 6K watching. Shout out to Chadford Morris. Alan Trent says, "Didn't Trump make an athletic shoe?" Yeah, it's sold out too. A.R. Smitty says that upstanding white man knows the play. And Executive Suite MLE is in the building. Shout out to Executive Suite MLE says, "Who's stopping black men from getting crypto?" Right. That's a red herring talking point. Anyone can buy crypto. The government doesn't control that. It's sad. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Again, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to hold me down. Tomorrow it's going to be even better. So if you have not subscribed to the Patreon, make sure you do so. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do so. And yes, Annie Marie, we will be doing after hours tonight, and we will be getting to it. All right? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. It's been a great show.